Is this thing on? Yeah, it looks like we're live. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic, whatever day you end up watching this. So, kind of an open chat tonight. We've been yammering on about all things that could possibly be negative. It's not really a good time to be a Mopar fan, at least not if you're into internal combustion engines and have bought into all the marketing and everything else that comes with the lifestyling of an automobile brand. But in any case, it's kind of fun to talk about some positive things, get out there and have a good time. And I'll tell you what, last night had a ball. Having not been to the drag strip with Little Miss Revlon, aka Chandelier, she has not been on the main stage in quite a while. And so I had the opportunity, met Orange Crush out there, got the cars out, let the cars have a play date. And I'll tell you what, had a really good time. Could not have gone any better. And so far as I can tell, the car ran really well. So there's your tail of the tape. If it's coming through, we're in the left-hand lane on this one. She dropped a 1032 last night with a 152 with a 960 foot. And that is at 948 feet, if we're being technical. So basically 950 feet. And she's already trying to scare the hell out of running 20s. Now, to give you guys an idea, let's kind of take a trip back in the way back machine. So back then, a long time ago, I never thought my car would ever run a 930 anything. A 1030 anything. I figured a 1030 would be in crazy DA, gutted, the whole bit. It was like a halo number. And I remember when the car ran a ran a 1037. I got nines on the mind tonight. And what was interesting about that is that when it did that, it kind of freaked me out. I thought, okay, well, man, maybe there's some more left in it. And now, we're in the hunt to try to scare up another series or at least another 10-0 once DA drops. But I know a lot of guys don't have the opportunity to either A, take their car to the drag strip, B, run in low density altitude conditions. And so I always try to post up my DA and let everybody know how the car did and at what density altitude so you can compare and contrast. So the car ran, and mile an hour is a little bit suspect because left lane's been reading weird. It's just kind of how it is. Superior Fit, what's up, man? I love the thing, man. These guys got the dude in the rolling chair, man. I love it. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. That is awesome. I love that. Oh, man. That is awesome. By the way, Superior, I am just getting back in from the gym, cardio tonight. Cannot seem to break my 830 on the 2,000 meters. I'm going halvesy, so 2,000, 1,500, 250, 500 and 250 are sprints. 2,000, trying to cover the number of at least an 830, and the 1,000, I'm just trying to cover to just making it through the damn thing. So anyway, speed bag's up in the shop, though, so I'm having fun with that, trying to reacclimate myself with that. But man, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. I absolutely love that. It's so true to slide around in this thing. Where was it? Oh, getting back to it. The funny thing about it though is that, when I had run the number last night, the 1032, that was at 950 feet, straight 93 octane, by the way. And I data logged every single pass. And you know how I'm always like, fuel quality. It's like a parrot, right? Like I'm always yammering on about fuel quality. Well, y'all are going to love this. So I data logged every pass. And the funny thing about it is that you can see, and I ran that car until it was practically out of gas. I thought I was going to have to push it to the gas station. But anyway, still had a little bit of fuel in it, put about half a tank worth of fuel in it, went to the drag strip the first pass. That car was pissed off. It's just, knock sensors look, I mean, they were, you could the short-term knock retard was just lighting up like a freaking Christmas tree. So -2, -1, -0.5 was just going absolutely crazy. As I was cooking the remnants of the old gas out of it, even though you'd think it'd mix in, there's still a lot of fuel left in the rails, left in the lines and everything else. And the trip to the track's not that far. So anyway, second pass, she was pretty happy. I had there's a funny kind of a weird issue with these cars where depending on your air charge, in other words, how much air the thing's actually drawing in, that'll determine how much timing the car is actually going to have. And timing and fueling and all that mixed with air, that's how you make the power. Well, if you have too much timing, you'll get a little bit of knock retard. The car had a very consistent issue at about 5,800 RPM, where I started noticing it was not, I couldn't tell if it was a legit knock or if it was just noise, but it was too consistent. So what I did is I went into the tune and just said, to hell with it, put everything in that range back to stock. Tickled the ivories a little bit on a couple of other things. I had gone to the gym, came back, changed clothes, went and drove the car, data logged it, and she is freaking ripping right now. And that's with the fuel that was in it. So made 2 hits back to back with the fuel that was still in it. And like I say, the car's real happy now. Combustion chamber temperatures won't be as hot on a rip on the highway as they are going down the track, because you have a longer period of time when you're under full throttle before it gets to those points. But I gave it long enough and it didn't have any kind of problems up there. So far as I can tell, the car's happy. But it's just funny, you know, getting the car out there, trying to have a little bit of fun with it. And right off the bat, I mean, the knock sensors were going crazy. So it is what it is. I mean, it's a fuel quality thing. I kind of knew that was going to happen coming into it, but that's also why when I tune these things, I still leave everything in terms of knock sensor values and all of that. I know back in the day, a lot of guys would just turn them off and they would just go with known safe figures, but safe is a relative term, especially when you start getting into fuel quality, and the fuel in this thing had sat for a while. So again, note to self, the whole reason why there's a tie into this, just, I know you guys know me well enough to know it takes me forever. It's like always story time with Brian, right? But for you guys that are winterizing your car, this is where I'm going with this. Okay. So right now is about the time where some of you guys are going to start putting your car into the garage, getting her winterized, because you just can't drive it because of weather conditions. Remember that when you pull the car out of the garage, once spring has sprung for wherever you're at, once you get the car ready, you get the car out on the road, remember to not be hammering on your car for at least a couple of tankfuls. Get the car, drive it, get some long road trips in it, burn some of that old fuel out, get some fresh fuel in the thing before you start getting out there and playing with it, especially you boys out there with tunes. I cannot make that more clear. And again, let's see, my car had basically been sitting up since March. So she'd actually been sitting up with a couple of drives here and there. But, you know, to be honest with you guys, the gas in that tank is probably a couple of months old, if not 3 months old. And that's why I was trying to drain it as far down as I possibly could before I filled it up with fresh. And just so happens this past Friday was the only Friday that we were really going to have until the track closes for the holiday events and everything else that they're going to have over there. So I had one shot to get out there and have a good night. Had a ball with the car. I mean, like I say, ended up running a best of a 1032 with a 152 60 foot. The car felt like it pulled the front tires. I mean, it was coming out of the hole hard. So lots of positive stuff coming with the car. So I'm really stoked with it. But anyway, just, you know, a public service announcement from your boy, Brian. Make sure that if you are winterizing that car, burn the fuel out of it, but at least a full tank. Like, get that thing to empty, fill it all the way to the top with very fresh gasoline. Let that stuff mix in, get out there and have fun with the car, but definitely burn the old fuel out, because I was definitely getting the first hit. I'm telling you, it was just knock retard. Still went at 1040 though, which is funny. that's the other thing. These cars are not sensitive to timing at all, but the car still went at 1040 at like 130 in the right lane, which was actually reading the full speed trap. I think it ran 132, 133. The second pass went 133, I think. So anyway, let me check in with you guys. Shane is in saying, what up, B? What up, Shane? Superior saying, hey, I don't know what the topic is, man. It's just open chat tonight. We're just yammering on about stuff. So whatever you got. RT guy saying, yo, man. Ardell saying, hey, D, what up, Ardell? Chuck saying, good evening, Chuck. Dr. Div saying, what's up? From the campsite at Rayburn County. Very nice. Rayburn's nice this time of year, man. Steven's saying, more fun without getting felony fast Mustang or RT Charger. Damn, that's a good quote. Probably Mustang. Okay, so it depends. No, it doesn't. Mustang, more fun and cheaper if you don't try to get stupid with it. If you re-gear the Mustang, well, 355s are pretty good in the Mustang, and it'll always be spooky fast. The RT, okay, define fun. So if you want something big, comfy, sounds amazing, and will boil the tires, the RT is the car for you. If you want something that is fast, but you almost have to be doing felonious acts to get the thing to be fast, although they are punchy, but you got to re-gear them, in my opinion, and tune them, then the Mustang can fit the bill. So it just kind of depends on where you're at with that. Superior's asking thoughts on 275 upper and ATI 10% lower for a 21 red eye. So, oh man, it depends really on how you, it depends on what you're going to do with the car, man. I mean, look, let me give you an example. A stock lower with a 275 upper on a red eye is a 960-ish car in really good DA. Certainly 970s are going to be part of that equation. And 980s, even if it's on a conservative tune, like in other words, you're only, you're at like 11 degrees of timing or 10 degrees of timing or something like that. You can still cover that. I don't necessarily like a 275 though. I would prefer to see something like a 285 or a 295 just to keep the thing somewhat streetable. Now, if you're going to be throwing E85 at it, a 275 and a 10, it's a little bit overkill, honestly. You start running into heat issues with the 2.7, somewhere around the 275 upper 285 upper 10% lower ish range. I probably wouldn't even get that aggressive with. I mean, again, if it's a street car, stick to an upper only. I really don't recommend even fooling with the lower, although I would recommend pinning the crank. I don't think that you would necessarily be in a danger zone with like a 285 or a 295 if you're planning on keeping it street. And guys, remember, a red eye bone stock tuned on E85 is a 9-second car. My car, if I put a fuel system in it, tuned it on the 85, is a 9-second car. It's like a 985 to 995 car in really good air. So just something to consider. So again, it just really depends on what you're going to. I will say this. All kidding aside, the car is undrivable at the power level that you're talking about, like a 275 and a 10 lower. It's not undrivable, but it is annoyingly violent on the street. It's a real easy combination to run low nines on the 85 at the drag strip. But man, is it okay? Give you a perfect example of this tonight. So, I was doing the data log thing. Damn, I can't do a screen share or else I'd show you the second hit. So the first hit in the car was going up an overpass. I had a run up, hit it at about 80, let the car basically just build up, hit the overpass, and it ended up cresting at the normal top of fifth gear. And I like doing that hit because it puts the car under a significant load. The second hit, I I basically went the long way, made a U-turn, and I've got this one spot where it goes left and then kind of goes right, but it's just a sweeper, and I can hit that at wide open throttle in the Hellcat. Which kind of freaks people out when I show them exactly what I'm doing. They're like, ugh. Anyway, the car started hazing the tires, and I'm on the drag radio, the regular Nitto setup. The car, it might have hit some dust or something in the road. Anyway, it starts hazing the tires at about 75 miles an hour, and I just roll into the throttle. And this is stuff you kind of get used to with these cars once you get to this level. So it sounds a lot like more wow than it really is, but it's hazing the tires through 70, 75, 80 miles an hour. You know, RPM comes down. I'm rolling out of the throttle, just kind of feathering it back and feeding the power back in like you normally would. And I say it nonchalantly because once you get used to driving stuff like this, it's anybody can pick up on the skill set. So that being said, imagine that with about 250 more horsepower, right? I mean, you end up with a car that will do that when the conditions are clean, or it'll do it even harder or worse when you don't want it to. And the problem is now you're tire limited, even from a significant roll. So, that's kind of where I'm at with that kind of a combination. I mean, if you really want something that's nasty fast, you've got to make the commitment to E85. If you don't, then your limiting factor is going to be fuel and fuel quality. So just something to consider. Doc saying, I'd rather see a 285 and a 10 lower. Yeah, that would, like I was saying, it's going to be real aggressive at that level. Oh, so yeah, because you don't want to turn. Yeah, a lot of those just get nutty. Oh, Chuck saying happy October. Yeah, hell yeah. Pumpkin latte, whatever it is. My house. We are a Halloween family. Okay, it is what it is. Our main holiday is Halloween. My house has been invaded by pumpkins of all different kinds, whether it's plastic, metal, who knows. But yes, happy October, everybody. One of my most favorite months of the year. Superior, thank you very much again, man. Thank you, buddy. Hopefully that answers the question. I know it's kind of a long, like kind of a shotgun answer, but I want to at least give you the most comprehensive answer I can. Doc saying he also likes the innovative lower for the red eyes. Man, the only problem that I have with the innovative lower are the hubs cracking. In fact, just not recently, but what was it, about a year ago? Somebody I know actually blew up an Innovators West lower, and it's I don't know. That sucks. You never want to hear about something like that. But yeah, it cracked the hub and galled the snout or galled the crank. Doc saying 1032, not bad for this weather, not super good DA, but less than 1,000. Well, I mean, yep, a full 42 feet less than 1,000. Listen, I'll take it. The funny thing is the air charge numbers weren't that high. I had air charge numbers of like 130, 129, 127. And what was weird is that it was low. Like the temps weren't really that low. That's why I almost wonder about the DA number, because the temps weren't all that low. And the barometric pressure was 2990. So it was almost an SAE number. If it would have been 7 degrees cooler, it would have been the old SAE number. So it was just kind of it was just really weird. I was looking at the data, just kind of scratching my head going, where the hell's the rest of my air charge? But it was, I mean, like I say, I mean, there were other Hellcats, other Red Eyes there. Orange Crush was, I mean, we were exactly where those two cars needed to be against each other. So it is what it is. And that's with the seats in the car, all that stuff. The car was not race prepped at all, other than throwing the tires on it. Kurt saying Ford Motors Company chat. Oh no. Oh man, yeah. God, that. So I am, eagerly awaiting the announcement for the newest GT500. Not that I'm in the market for one, especially after last night. I had a really fun time with my car last night. I'll put it like this. I had a lot more fun with my car last night than I've had with it in a very long time. So, yeah, I wouldn't be trading it in on anything new, especially with the price of these things. Super Sock saying, hey, B, I'd like to see the Beast racing again. Oh, yeah, man, it was a really good time last night. One thing I will tell you, the bumper support and that Scat Pack sway bar are worth it. Dropped 25 pounds off the front of the car. That was confirmed by the scales at the track. I mean, guys, it ended up working out pretty good, so I'm pretty stoked with that. But the car, not that you could really even tell, the track prep was really good. The car was dead hooked. I mean, on one of those hits, especially the last two hits, I could have sworn I hung a hoop on both of those hits. That's how hard it was launching. Chuck, thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Saying rock dings will rust without factory match touch-up paint. Not driving my Challenger on salt roads, outdoor storage. Yeah, so best thing to do with that, like I was saying earlier, man, when you do get her out of storage, get her back on the road, definitely run that fuel out of the car before you're done. Get the thing washed up, get her all waxed up, ready to go, but don't hammer on her until you've gotten that fuel out of the car. I can tell you that, and I just, it's a bummer I can't do the screen share on this, but I had, it was so funny. That first hit, a couple of funny things about the first hit. One is that it even ran at 1040. The data on that pass was just like cringe. I mean, all the way across. It wasn't bad, but it was sketch level. It wasn't quite sketch level midnight, but it was definitely getting ready for the party. So looking at that going, hopefully that gets better. And I knew it was a fuel quality issue just from experience. But anyway, the car did, and again, it's a stock Hellcat, so it's not super sensitive to timing. It just, throwing 2 degrees of timing, the car is just like, they just don't ever run any better. Factory got it really right with the Hellcats, early ones anyway. So but what's funny is that when you look at that data, you're like, damn, I can't believe the car even ran the number that it did. And the DA, when I ran that number, by the way, it wasn't like a 900 DA pass or technically 940 or 952 that the DA was. It was like 1600 or 1500 when it went that 42. I was like, well, at least it's promising. But yeah, I just didn't have the time I had run the car practically out of gas, but when I filled it up, or didn't fill it up, when I put the fuel in it, when I made it to half the tank, took a little bit of driving to get everything to mix in. But thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Also asking, will a rock being rust without touch-up paint is what I meant to ask. Typically, no, not unless you get past the primer layer. So you got your clear coat, you got your paint, you got your primer, and there's a couple of coats of primer on these cars, and then the metal itself. If you see the metal itself, that's when you're like, yeah, I need to go ahead and just get you one of these. You can get them at your Dodge dealership, the touch-up kits, and just and I've tried doing videos on this where I've gone with chandelier, and I've done the touch-up, and I'll do the little thing where I'll sand the hole and, clean it out with the alcohol and do the little dot of the paint, let it dry, wet sand it, buff it. And in some cases, you really cannot tell that there was ever a rock chip. Other cases, it depends on it depends. So I've got a couple of really good repairs that even I can't find them anymore. I was like, man, I didn't even know it was that good. And there's a couple of repairs that are glaring, and you will only see it if I point them out to you, but there's a couple that are bad. But anyway, to answer your question, if it's to the metal, you're definitely going to want to put a little bit of work into it. If nothing else, to get you by, just get some clear nail polish and just hit it and let it, get it ready. And that's if you've got confidence in your skills of, going in and maybe hitting it with a wet sand real quick before you do the touch up. If not, go the touch up route. The touch up route can be a little bit sketchy. Best way to do it is just to put a little dab, a little dot with the brush portion of it. Don't try to use the pen, use the brush portion of it. Just barely touch it. In fact, think of it like this. You're going to think of it like, we're going to pretend like this Sharpie is your touch up, your actual that little bitty brush that comes in that thing. And what you're going to do is, let's say, I'm obviously over exaggerating this, but let's say that is what you're going to try to fill in. You don't want to come in and just paintbrush that. Okay. That's not the right way to do it, because you're going to be making a complete mess. Depending on the size of the chip, if you really want to get like down and dirty, before you get started, well, get your touch-up paint, okay? Then go to Hobby Lobby or like a paint supply or whatever, and get you an assortment of paint brushes, and get some that are really small, and you can actually trim them to where it looks like a little arrowhead, okay? And what you would do if you needed to, but just think outside the box, use your imagination of how to use the tiniest, smallest little dot, and then use the paint, just get a tiny bit on it, and you're going to go in and you're going to fill it in like this, okay? You're going to let it sit. You're going to just kind of dot that stuff in there until you fill it in. Now, obviously, it's going to fill it in faster than me dotting it with a Sharpie, but I think you kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about. And doing paint and body corrective work like that, I will zen out on that. In fact, I just got back. Hang on, you detail guys are going to love this. So anyway, they were running a special on a Rupees. So got the big one. So yeah, Stormy's going to be getting her first spa treatment. The wife's Jeep needs a spa treatment. Pretty much everybody's getting a spa treatment. So, yeah, this is just the polish and sealant, but it's really good stuff, and it smells amazing. I don't know if you can smell this. Yeah, can you smell that? God, this stuff smells so good. Anyway, shit got on my nose. Anyway, that's what's next on the agenda. But hopefully that helps you out. I mean, the idea is to take your time and don't get into a rush. But if you just kind of barely dap, and it's really more of a dap and wipe. It's like kind of like that, like you're making little lines with it when you do that. Obviously, you'd be covering a lot more area at each time than you would with this, but I think you get the idea. Hopefully that helps. And hey, if you had a black car, there's your touch-up paint right there. And if you think I'm kidding, ACR Viper, Sharpie fixed it. The Z06, Sharpie fixed it. The Lightning, Sharpie fixed it. Foxy, Sharpie fixed it. I think I'm kidding. For the really big scratches. I'm not joking. Anyway, let me get back to you guys here. Oh, hang on. Kind of buzzed past some of y'all. Let me get back up here. Albert's asking, what's the fastest way to get old gas out? A long road trip? Yeah, unless you want to physically drain the tank. If you've got a later Hellcat with the Schrader valve, you can actually run a hose off the Schrader valve into a container and just run the thing until it dies from running out of gas. But yeah, just run the car for a while, run the car down on fuel, and then don't be getting on it or anything, and then fill it back up. The other way to do it is just to keep blending through it, but you kind of lose track of that. So, But that would be my suggestion. But it depends on how old the gas is. Like if it's really, really old, like it's suspect for sure, you can get one of the fuse switches, replace the fuel fuse with one of those fuel switches, turn the key to the on position, hit the switch, and then dump everything out that Schrader also. Shane saying, hoping to have my 5th gen Camaro out in December, like plans to get it built, LS3, compression ratio 11. Oh, nice. Okay. Hopefully have the budget to throw a 416 stroker treatment in there. That'll be a fun car. I know of a lot of guys that have been running the 5th gen, the LS stuff. Got so many of these things. Forgot to take the damn sticker off of this thing. My readers, my cheaters, my eyeball cheaters here. Fun car, one of the most fun cars. You can do pretty much anything with it. No average RT. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. 1030s is fast as hell. My little 5.7 did 1235, 1600 foot DA, 1230 track elevation. Very nice. Yeah, your car is running good, man. Car is running really good. Need a little bit lower DA and get that thing into the 1220s, 12 teens, man. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate that a ton, brother. SRT Hellcat Hemi is saying, howdy be. Howdy, Hellcat. See him saying, thanks for answering the question. Happy to, man. Absolutely. Rich saying he revved his car, had a low oil temp. So he piped it up when it was cold and threw a PO 153, which is the bank one rich, I believe is what that one is. And yeah, it's just because it was cold. It was, if the oil temp was that low, you were probably still in closed loop, which means it's going to be on the rich side, and it was having nothing to do with that. So yeah, that was because it was rich, more than likely. Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, E85, for you guys that don't know. So everybody's always talking about boost weather, boost weather, boost weather. Well, the thing is that summertime is E85 weather. E85, if you're in colder climates, can be a bit of a bear to have it, for it to start up. So one of the things that drives guys nuts is that the E85 will actually spec out to like E70 because they'll run more gasoline. The manufacturers of that stuff will run more gasoline in it to help it fire off when it's cold. So anyway, yeah, it can be a little bit of a rough start sometimes. Spears Fit saying, already have the 10 lower in stock up, or just decided if I should do it because I already have it. And yes, E85 and no racing so far, but 285 to be safe. Listen, if it's my car, 10 lower, I'll put it to you like this. 285 would be the absolute maximum I would try to get away with. 295 or a 3.0 would probably be a safer bet. Do not try to run a clutched pulley though. Don't think that, I know you're not, but I'm just saying, for you guys that are thinking, oh man, you can run the Hellraiser pulley or whatever. No, you can't. You can't do it on a Hellcat, which means you absolutely can't do it on a red eye. You might say, well, why not? Well, because of the inertial load that the 2.7 has versus the 2.4 that comes on the Hellcat. The 2.7 has a heavier rotor, and it takes more that moment of inertia to get it moving. And that's what destroys the clutched pulleys that aren't built for that type of use and abuse. So, but yeah, 285, I'm not saying it's safe. I mean, it's safe. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you're not racing, but just remember that you're not at the limit of what E85 can manage, but you're going to start running into fueling and drivability issues potentially with that with that not necessarily with that combination on the high load end of that, and it's mainly because of downstream heat. But everything else, I mean, it'll be a lot of fun under partial throttle. I'll tell you this, it'll feel like it's got an extra engine strapped to it at partial throttle with that 285 like that. But yeah, hopefully that, I mean, you know, if the 285 is the route you're thinking about going, I would not go much more than that. Again, thank you, no average. Robot saying, her direct connection tuning is really close to being carb approved. I mean, I heard that too. I heard it was ready 2 months ago. All Girls Garage already did an install with it. They've been trying to get the word out on it, but guys, until we get final word, it ain't out yet. So you just gotta, we'll see what ends up happening. Car Wash saying, what up, B? What up, man? Ran an 1177 in my as-delivered 1320. Very nice. He says he's stoked. Hope to get one more running next Wednesday in 50-degree weather. Then the diet begins. So I'll tell you what. The 1320 has a very, very unique place in my heart. My buddy Ray had a couple of them, and some of the most fun I've ever had in a car was with my buddy Ray in his Frostbite Blue 1320. Had a Frostbite Blue and a triple nickel 1320. And yeah, so that's awesome, man. I'm stoked for you. That is a very fun car. And I know that when in obnoxiously good air, you can absolutely guarantee that thing will run a 50. So I'm not knowing what your DA is, but like I say, those cars are so much fun, and I'm stoked that you've got one. Rip's saying, I saw a CGR Performance ran a Hellcat ran a 930 with just a 2.7 upper on E. Makes me believe it's possible for me to do it. It is possible. I mean, there's no question that you can do it. It's just a matter of, so the thing is you get to a certain point with the cars, and then you want a little bit more, and then you want a little bit more. And it's almost like, how do I put this? You guys like playing blackjack? If you've ever sat down at a blackjack table and you get started, you kind of find yourself in a bit of a groove up to a certain point. If you lose concentration and you're not paying attention to what's going on around you, who's getting up, who's leaving the table, and how they're playing, you end up in a weird situation where everything that you thought you were doing right ends up being wrong in terms of how you're betting and how you're playing. It's kind of like that when you start throwing a lot of boost at these Hellcats. What ends up happening is guys will get the car. This is what I'm just trying. It's not a warning. It's just an observation. Okay. Guys get the car and they're used to a certain level of play, so to speak, with the car. They know how fast it is. They know how it's going to react. They know what it's going to do. And then you go with a little bit more pulley, or then you go with a little bit more, you put it, whatever the case is, doesn't matter what it is. What can end up happening is the car becomes less predictable. It can become less consistent. And all of a sudden you start finding weak links in your game, so to speak. In other words, for no real good reason, now I'm replacing half shafts. It's damn, the thing is a little bit sketchy, even at 90 miles an hour. You got to be a little bit more careful with it once you start spinning them up. Now, if you're racing the thing, the other side of it is consistency at the drag strip. The issue with the Hellcat, I mean, again, its blessings are its curse. Getting the car to hook and be consistent on track starts to become an issue once you start getting these things around the it's around the 940, 950, 930 range, right in there. Just getting the car to hook, because if it's making enough power to trap on the back half that well with that type of supercharger, it means it is making a bunch of torque down low. So it's really more about getting the car off the line. So it's how do you drink from a fire hydrant? You know what I mean? So, but it can be a lot of fun, and it's a fun challenge. So I know it can be done. And there's been a lot of guys do it. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of folks that are running spooky numbers right now, with not a lot done on E85. So I know it can absolutely be done. I just like playing in the shallow end. I had a long history of building and being a part of big builds, making a bunch of power, and I'm just having fun where I'm at in the shallow end. So get after it. Let me know how it does. Guitar Man saying, good evening, Brian. My question is, would I benefit from running a lower degree 180 thermostat in my Challenger? Yes, sir, you will. So the issue that I had, the Challenger is but you're going to have a tune to go along with the 180. PO 125, PO 128 codes are going to get thrown if you don't. And that is a code that basically says the car is not warm enough to get to basically to get to open loop conditions. But yes, if you've got a tune to go along with it, 100% would advise it, because oil temperature goes down along with it, and oil pressure becomes a little bit more consistent. And the car is less susceptible to knock once you start cooling it down a little bit more. I can tell you that it will absolutely pick up ET once you come down from that 220 something, what is actually running the 203 degree thermostat, bringing that down to 180. The car will thank you. But you do need to change the fans to go along with it. You've got to change let the car know, let the computer know, look, dude, we got a 180 thermostat, so chill out with, everything. And a couple other parameters have to be changed depending on the operating system to get it to actually play nice. It's not like you can just swap one in. I think you can get away with a 196, but I don't know that there's enough of a difference between 203 and 196 to really make a difference. We were saying, granted, CGR had everything else done to you, like ported blower and all, but I also have that stuff. Yep. You can do it, my man. And prep it, get that thing as light as you can. Chuck, thank you very much, buddy. Oh, no, Average is saying, yeah, tip for winter, bring your drag radials or slicks in, because once it gets cold, they will get to cracking. So yes, my stuff stays in the office. Once the holiday season starts and the track's not going to be open, then the rubber comes in into a controlled environment. Oh, Chuck's saying that dent goes all the way through. Yeah, I would definitely get to work on that one, man. You don't want to let that thing sit for too long. Get that rust off of there, bud, or keep it from rusting and get that chip taken care of. Hey, Superior Fit, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Saying last question. So with my combo 275 and ATI, a bad tuner could blow it up and a good tuner could make it safe, right? Barth is my tuner. Barth knows what he's doing. He can get you taken care of with that. But yes, this is a situation where, you've got to, and I mean got to, have a good tuner on board that has significant experience with that combination. And the main reason for that is what you can end up having happen is what happens to a lot of guys. You get a lot of parts thrown at the car, and then somebody kind of hacks together a tune. They'll try to lift a tune from somebody. I used to see this a lot with cars that were tuned by other people, where and it I don't understand. Like, I just wasn't taught this way. But you'll see a lot of corners getting cut with tunes too. So my best advice, yeah, stick with Barth. He's good there. But you definitely, if you're getting to that level, remember that it's a risk to reward proposition at this point. Your tuner is always going to be the guy that is seemingly the last one that's responsible for everything. You know, it's funny, you spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on everything, and then, you know, a few $100 on a tune or whatever, you know, $1,000 on a tune, plus everything that comes with it. And that's what makes it all work. You got to have that guy on board. So my advice is, yes, stick with him. And again, the main thing is stick with the guys that know what they're doing, because you've got a lot of risk in terms of, and I say risk, it's not like, oh, it's going to blow up. That's not what I'm getting at. The risk that I'm talking about is you're getting to a point where slight tune variances start to make a bigger difference in terms of safety with that tune. But E85 is a really fun fuel for tuners, because you can get away with a lot with the 85 too. So, let's see. Hang on, getting back up here. The diaper wearer is asking, go mango or green go? Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to have to say green go first, then go mango, only because Orange Crush is go mango. And I love the green go color. For whatever reason, that was like one of the first colors that really caught my eye. Is Chuck saying I used a Sharpie for my rim scrape for the car wash? Yep. Works every time. And again, thank you, No Average RT. I appreciate that, man. Like you're saying, he took his car to Sequoia National. That would have been great. I'd love to go to Sequoia. Here it's beautiful. SRT's asking, is this Ford Megazilla crate engine legit? I don't know, man. There's all kinds of stuff going around, you know, talking about the 7.3. We'll see what ends up happening with that thing. I wouldn't doubt it, though. Ford right now is on a roll, so who knows? Everybody that's built one of those engines, though, has said that in Ford techs. Well, let me start over. Ford techs are saying that is hands down probably the best engine Ford has ever built. And anybody that has built one has said it is hands down the best engine that they've ever messed with. I didn't give that engine enough credit. The initial reports on that engine were that it's a big engine, big displacement, but it's designed to run at wide open throttle all day, and that blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, that thing, part of that is true, but they've got a really good set of heads, and they're just really good. So, yeah, guys, what's up, man? Saying, what's up, B? I'm considering selling my full bolt-on 16 Camaro SS and get either a ZL1, a GT500, or a red eye. It'll be my daily. Do you consider it a good move? Well, man, it's obvious you're looking for something with a supercharger. So let's run these cars back and see which ones would actually fit your needs. GT500, I'm assuming you're talking about one of the newer ones. Man, I like the car. It's grown on me. The problem with that car, though, is far too many complaints about transmission issues. I've got to say no to that car. Also because in stock form and even in tuned form, I have waxed them with my Hellcat. Now, maybe from a roll, they might have an advantage. I'll admit to that. However, where it counts in terms of reliability, durability, and all of that, I've heard of too many guys having problems with them, so the GT 500's got to go. ZL1, really good car. Probably, arguably, maybe the best all around of the group. They handle extremely well. The only downside, small blower means a lot of heat if you want to try to play with them. But it's a GM. Conversion to E85 is a lot easier with that car. And there are other options out there. Throw a Maggie on the thing with the E85 conversion, and things get completely nutty with those cars. So if you want something that's well-rounded all the way around, ZL1's a good look for you. The red eye, if you got the chops to pick up a red eye, here's the thing you got to remember about the red eye. It is big, comfy, and is always going to be probably the best built out of all three of them. Red eyes, Hellcats, both of those combinations, both of those platforms are extremely durable. Probably some of the most durable that have ever been released. And I mean, bar none. So if reliability is on the top of your list, that red eye might be the best move out of the bunch. Superior Fit saying, someone told me today that the regular cat can do 275 and a 10 lower better than a red eye, or can handle it. Okay. That is true. So, and it all has to do with heat. The 2.7 just generates significantly more heat. Now, that's not to say you cannot do it. Plenty of guys do. But again, you're on E85. You got the fuel system to cover it. That particular combination in just a generic Hellcat is your basic 930, 950, 960 if it's a Charger, depending on weight reduction car package. And it's a Bravo package. And that would be equivalent to Racer X's. That would have been Fernando's car. That would be, like I say, your fairly run-of-the-mill, what I would consider to be an E85, a sole E85 base car. In fact, if I were to do an E85 build, that's what I would build. I wouldn't even, like right now, me going E85 with my car, I'm not generating enough cylinder pressure to really necessitate the fuel. But if I decided, look, I'm just going to cut to the chase and build a 920 or a 930 car, that's what I would do. 275 upward, 10% lower, and ready for all the traction issues that come with it. But yeah, it is true to a point. I'll put it that way. Damien's checking in saying, what up, I've been watching you for a while. Thank you very much. Saying, never post because I always miss the live. Got to meet up at the track, being we're both in the H-Town. I love it. Well, I'm there won't be there until next year because, after next weekend, they're closed for the holiday season. So, but yeah, we're always up there. We've always got a gang of us running around. So stop by and say hi. We got all kinds of different contraptions running around in there too. It just depends on which part of the crew shows up on what night. So yeah, come on by and say, hey man, love to meet you. Frederick, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Asking, how good is E85? Is it worth the conversion? Yes, it is if you're supercharged. Yes, it is if you're building a naturally aspirated car with 13, 14, 15 to 1 compression, somewhere in that range. If not, then no, do not go with the 85. The reason for that is E85 is like the tuner's best buddy. You almost can't wreck an E85 tune with timing. But that being said, you can literally do timing sweeps with cars. And I've done this before. In fact, Quick Brick's car, which was a full bolt-on cammed 392 car that went at 4,600 pounds, that car with my cam and with Pike's tuning and with some of my track revisions, went 1120 at 121 at 4,620 something pounds, damn near pulling the front tires off the ground. That car was on E85, but it wasn't because of the fuel that it ran like that. So, and I don't have the file here, but I had that car on the dyno. This is an NA car. Had the car on the dyno, and this is one of those, it was like a 2-day deal. And it was what can we get away with the 85, developing the tune, developing an idea really for like, what can we get away with these Mopars? How can we get an edge? So I get the car strapped down on the dyno, full of E85. We start the process and start out with timing at 17 degrees. No, I dropped it to 16, made a hit. Car wasn't happy, went to 17. Car basically jumped up, I was like 8 horsepower, something like that, at 17 degrees of timing. Now the car made more torque down low, but that's the only area that was making power. So it was okay. Let's see if we can make some power up top. Went from 17 to 18, 18 to 19, 19 to 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. What was funny is that the car never ran into a knock issue, but the car never picked up any power. As a matter of fact, we're kind of surprised. After about the 20 degree, 21 degree timing mark with that cam, which is where it liked life with 93 octane, we literally could not get anything else out of the thing. And so it was like, what do you do? And it was the same issue when that car had the stock cam. So if you've got an E85, if you got a bug for E85, you've got to build around the fuel, honestly. And then there's some other stuff. I think Sovereign touched on this, but there's other things that come with the 85 life. You have to change fuel or you got to change oil more frequently because of more fuel dilution. You're running 30% more fuel, means you have 30%. Actually, it's usually like 30 to 40% more of that fuel getting past the rings. The reason why it's a higher amount than what you're actually introducing is because the molecular weight of ethanol is lower, which means the molecules are itty bittier, which means more of it can get past the rings. Something to consider. You also need to make sure the vehicle is at true operating temperature so that you've got good ring expansion, so that you don't have as much fuel dilution. There's a lot of little goofy things to think about, but as long as you're changing your oil more often, that's usually what guys do anyway. That's kind of annoying, but if you don't drive the car all the time, potentially issues with ethanol corroding components. Some guys say it does, some guys say it's fine. All I can say is stay on top of your oil changes and let the rest sort itself out. But unless you're doing a dedicated build, and I mean a dedicated build, or you're supercharged, it's really not worth it. The only time it's really, really not worth it, like doubly not worth it, is if the E85 is just inconvenient for you to get. That's usually what turns guys off the most about E85, is that stuff's just kind of hard to come by, depending on what part of the world you're in. Let's see. But hopefully that answers that question. Doc's saying, and with a 285, it has to be on E85. Yeah, not even close. If any pump in it, you need a 3.0. Yeah, but test your E85 every time, which is another thing you got to do once you start making the switch to kern. You make the kern, you got to test your kern. Just like making shine, baby. Got to test it every time, all the time. No, you really do. You gotta check it because, okay, damn. See, here's the thing. So remember I was talking about fuel quality at the top of the show? Story time with Brian. All right, so here's the deal, guys. Remember that I was the guy that would at Pikes, the car got on the dyno, I would make some changes. I would, somebody needed a nitrous kit. I'd do the nitrous tune for it, just make the adjustments for the nitrous kit. Well, and this is kind of funny, kind of not funny. I thought that I blew a car up on the dyno. In fact, it would have been the first one that I would have blown up. And if you're in and around a tuning shop, cars do blow up. They blow up all the time. Stock cars blow up, not just tuned cars, by the way. Anyway, get the car strapped down, and I had gone to get E85 from a known Sunoco gas station. I come back with it, put the E85 in the car. It was basically going to make some baseline hit type of the thing, just see if I could get the thing to make a little bit more power, just to get data out of the thing, see what was up with it. And I'm strapping the thing down, and I got the roller centers after I already put the fuel in the car. And I noticed that the exhaust just really, or no, I didn't notice. On this one, I did not notice that the exhaust didn't smell like old sweaty socks. And that is the immediate cure for the question, or the answer, I should say, for the question, is it burning E85? It's just that the exhaust has a real definite smell, and the fuel itself does smell like sweaty socks, and it still smelled like E85. The problem is I didn't test it because, you start, again, you take for granted that you've got good fuel. And so the car was not happy on that hit. And I was like, what the hell? And I went around back, and it smelled like a gasoline, like I'd put gasoline in the thing, when I know for a fact what I was pouring in there was 85. I'm the guy that filled the tank up, and I could kind of smell it when I was putting it in there. But the 85 itself was not good. It was like E50. It was definitely not good for the car that it was going in. So this is now the weird thing about the E85 fuel quality question mark, is that this bad E85 has happened at least around me twice for the dyno, twice for Quick Brick. And I think I'll throw one other time in there just because I know that it's happened. I just forgot about it. It's kind of blended into everything. It became part of the scenery. So be careful with the E85. Make sure you're doing your testing. If you don't smell, if you immediately know the smell of an E85 exhaust car, if you don't smell it, it might not be good E85. That's why for me, E85 really isn't an option, because I've seen too many issues with it. But damn, it does work. I will tell you that. Hey, Superior, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Oh, Superior saying, I'm a very loyal person. I love Tim. I'm in KC and he's in Georgia. I bought my 275 from him. Would he detect if I put a 285 on? No, I mean, he's just be honest with him. Just say, look, man, I got to thinking about it. I think I'm going to go with the 285, heat issues, drivability. You can tell him whatever you want. It's your car. I mean, you say, look, I decided to go with the 285. He would notice it though, for sure, because he'll be looking at the data logs and go, man, my air charge seems a little bit low. Was that a 275 or a 285? What pulley's on? But yeah, he will be able to tell what blower pulley is on there. Let's see. Where was it? Oh, okay. Superior saying the blower can take more stress. It's not that the 2.4 can't, it's not that it can take more stress. It's just that it has a lower discharge temperature. And it's not moving as much air. A 2.7 is going to be moving more air than the 2.4. But in moving the more air, you have a significantly higher discharge temperature, which means that even though the pressure is greater, the amount of available oxygen will not be proportionate to the 2.4. The 2.4, in other words, is just a little bit more efficient, but the 2.7 moves plenty of air. It can definitely get the work done, no doubt about it. Doc saying, just put it on E. I love it. It's saying VP X85. Yeah, that's a little pricey though. They're saying when even Elon doesn't think EVs are the future. Well, they're part of the future, and they're not the future though. That's where people get it really wrong. Everybody can live together. They all have their pros and cons. Michael's saying his scat runs between 1205 and 1208. All I've done is add a catch can and better wheels and tires. What can I do to get it down in the 11s? Well, number one, before I get into that, make sure you're changing your catch can. Make sure you're emptying that out regularly. As far as what you can do to get the thing in the 11s, it's already got the chops to go 11s. Definitely drag radials are going to be your new best friend to get you there. The thing is with the scats, it's really difficult to get that thing to truly get down the quarter mile on anything other than a drag radial. The way that car makes torque, it's best to have it on, even if it's a stock tire size drag radial, run those drag radials. And if you are at a track that's at least at 1,000 feet or lower in elevation, and you get that thing out in nice, cool, crisp air, it's going to scare up an 11-second pass. I say that. Actually 500 feet and lower, you should be almost guaranteed an 11. Now, if you're at a higher elevation or you're running in warmer weather, there are some tricks you can do. Obviously, weight reduction, putting a drag pack wheel and tire setup on the car is where most guys go to get that number out of them. Some tuning would definitely get the job done. No question about that. Especially in the transmission. That's where you get most of your gains with those cars. Not a lot of gains with tuning on pump gas, but all of your gains are in torque management and in your trans shift points. Oh, I got to Superior's question about fragging the car. You can do that. Hey guys, talking cars. What's up, fellas? Good to see y'all in. Saying great discussion. Stoked to be able to drop in tonight. Stoked to have you, my friend. Dr. saying, have you been to any cities in South Texas? Yeah. Let's see. Well, obviously Corpus, big one. Padre, McAllen, lots of times to McAllen. Brownsville, lots of times to Brownsville. Laredo, yeah, all over the place down there. Smoke saying, hi to be. Is it worth putting a 1320 converter in a regular scat? Nope. Or just get a higher stall aftermarket when stock cam. Man, here's the thing with going aftermarket with the converters. They can get a little bit tiresome. The 1320 converter is just a truck converter, by the way. I don't see it really being worth it with a stock cam. You might get something out of it, but I don't know if the trade-off is worth it. It will require some transmission tuning. And depending on which cam, somebody's outside and they got something that is chopping its ass off. I don't know if y'all can hear that. So my across the street guy has got a menagerie of hot rods. He's got y'all hear that? It might be him. I think that's his truck. Anyway, he's got an older truck that's all hot rodded. He's got a couple of C1 Corvettes. Anyway, he's got a little bit of everything over there. I think that was his truck. Anyway, but anyway, no, getting back to the converter question, it does take some tuning. Aftermarket converters can be a little bit annoying to drive. I think most of the time guys kill the torque converter clutch in first, second, and third gear. So in terms of launching, it can be pretty good. The downside, though, to putting a converter in a stock Scatty is that you lose that torque hit. So they're great on a drag strip, but we weren't using aftermarket converters with the scats that were cammed. And there's a couple of 10-second versions of those things running around. I know all the truck guys love them, but that's a completely different thing. And the stock stuff, I mean, hell, I was running in deep, good air. I would have been an 11.0 scat pack with the stock converter. So, and that's with a stock cam and just me tuning it, drag pack, some weight reduction, and that's it. I mean, it was stock manifolds, no cats. I mean, good running car. So you don't necessarily need the converter. I know a lot of times guys will say, well, the most performance you get is out of the converter. And yeah, it's true. If you're talking about like an old turbo 350, turbo 400, 727 torque flight, C4, C6 Ford trannies, the 3-speed stuff, yeah, you need more converter. But with these transmissions, man, you've got a lot of gear multiplication. And a lot of times the converter will actually make it, under partial throttle driving conditions, will make it feel mushy. Now, there are some newer ones that are out that are pretty good. Circle D has got one. There's a couple of others that are out there that are good at mimicking a tighter converter. And then when you really dip into the throttle, it'll flash. But again, it's going to take a little tuning to get it right. Superior's asking if I have a Facebook. Yes and no. I actually don't ever use Facebook anymore. Alberto's asking, hey, B, what are your thoughts on the new 300C? I was able to get in line and order one before they ran out the 2000. That is awesome if you got one. So I love it. It's the car that we should have had here for forever. It's a bummer that we have it, but yes, if you were able to get one, that is freaking awesome. Love that car, by the way. Sovereign saying, sup, B? Sup, Sovereign? Superior's asking, can you do an upper and lower on 93? Negative. No, absolutely not. Do not. The pattern is full. No flyby. Negative, Ghost Rider. Do not even attempt it. And no. It is not like you're okay. So no, but not just no. But it's potentially really bad for your car. So what can happen? There's not a safe tune for gasoline with that blower and that pulley combination, unless that tune has a maximum RPM of about 3,200 RPM and has like clip points for the throttle to where it will not crack more than about 2 volts. It won't clip any more than 2 volts for the throttle. Let me tell you why. In the event that you're driving the car and you're on 93 octane and you retard the timing, a lot of guys say, I just retard the timing and it reduces cylinder pressure. And man, if you do that, you will have a spike in EGT, the likes of which you've never seen before. And with that spike in EGT comes significant chances of damaging everything downstream of that. First of all, you can what's known as tuliping an exhaust valve. What that means is, if you can imagine my hand with the stem sticking straight up, my hand is the actual valve part, the round part of the valve. You can have EGTs get so high if you've retarded the timing so much in this, hypothetical engine. And this does happen. In fact, one of my Lightnings, the guy got rid of the truck because he tulipped valves because they were trying to run too much boost on it. The guy that I bought it from had tried to run too much boost on it and with retarded timing. And I was like, I know where this is going. The valve will get so hot that the material that the valve is made out of becomes soft, and it'll actually start to peel up and into the valve seat. And so it's called tuliping the valve, because when you look at it, it kind of looks like a little bit of a flower effect to it. Definitely not a good thing. So in other words, even if you're trying to tip into the throttle and drive the thing, there's no way that you can make it work unless you just have a way to have the, well, I guess you could in the tune, have the bypass just open all the time. And it was like a transport tune, but I would never do that. I would not even put that tune together ever. Like, there's no such thing as a tune just to get it started. It doesn't work like that. I got Frederick's question. Let's say, Kerry's saying, I want to know who within Dodge thought their move with EVs was the way to go. I feel they could have done something really cool and awesome with an engine, whether it was a new one or not. Well, here's the thing. So the STLA large platform is a platform that will accommodate internal combustion. It'll accommodate. Did I say accommodate? What the hell? Listen, if I can spell it, it's a word. Okay, so it'll accommodate internal combustion. It'll accommodate EV, and it'll also accommodate hybrids. Somebody looked at, is that even a word? It's been a long day. Anyway, so it can still be done. The problem is when you have a platform like that, it's like a jack of all trades but master of none. And I think that it can be imagine this, it can be unnecessarily heavy, because the battery itself in that type of a platform, what makes that thing an EV, all of that is integral to the structure of that vehicle. So you can change cradles out, but the substructure, I think, is still going to be the same. There's a lot to it. You may still see some hybrids. You might still see an ICE conversion or an ICE version, I should say, of that. But I don't know. I mean, the move to EV is just, again, I just find it to be a bit of a false economy. Some are saying, like, subscribe. Wow, man, what is in this Diet Coke? Apparently, it's pretty good stuff. Donnie's asking, worth it to port a 2.4 lower or 2.4 liter Hellcat blower on a basic 85 build, 275 upper and 10% lower? Yeah, but that's about, I mean, you're at the point where I would say that you would probably get something out of it. You're at the point where a larger throttle body and a ported snout would probably do you an amount of good. Now, how much? Listen, believe what you want. There's a lot of advertised numbers out there, but 95 millimeter throttle body, 100 millimeter throttle body, whatever the case is, you're going to have to open that thing up to accommodate it. Make sure you're working with somebody that speaks fluent Mopar, because they're going to have their hands full getting the throttle scaling right on that. But is it worth it? Let me ask you this. What designates worth to you in this scenario? In other words, are you looking for a dyno number, or are you taking this thing to the drag strip and trying to cover a number with it? I mean, it's not, I don't think it's going to get you to the promised land if you're looking for a couple of tenths. I'll put it to you that way. Is it worth a tenth? I don't know. I can tell you this. The stock snout with no work done to it whatsoever, with that exact combination, 275 upper, 10% lower, is a mid, depending on the car, is a 270 to 230 car. Again, it just depends on if it's a Challenger with a lot of weight reduction or a Charger with not that much weight reduction, just like on a drag pack wheel and tire setup. It's a 930 to a 970 package on the 85, obviously. But it's not an 8-second package with a ported blower. And that 270 isn't going to be a 230 car with the ported blower and the bigger throttle body and whatever else you want to throw at it. So depending on how you're determining worth, maybe that kind of helps you to drill that down and describe that for you in terms of gains. Oh, Donnie's saying also looking for a good fuel pump setup like that. Injected Engineering has a twin pump that just bolts right in. I would say go with that one. If they're still making, I think they are. It's called the, it was, if they're not making it now, it's the, oh hell, they have a name for it. Just Injected Engineering fuel pumps for Hellcat. You'll see it. Spearfit saying, yes, E85 is awesome because everyone always wants my info at the gas station and love my car. Very nice. This summer saying story time with Brian. And yeah, hit the like, subscribe. Yeah, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, welcome. Welcome to the chat. Consider subscribing. It helps me out a ton, at least with those algorithms, those pesky algorithms that we all have no idea what they do or how they get us where we're going here. And if you are watching this for the first time, if you haven't been around here for a while, how'd you find out about me? That's always an interesting one. I know a lot of guys find me from Racer X's channel, from a lot of, from Herman, from Demonology. So I know there's some cross pollination there too. So, but those guys, good buddies of mine. Lee and I saying, hello from Sacktown. I like it. Would a larger throttle body and shorty headers make a difference on a 6-speed 5.7 with a stock tune? Nope. Do not spend any of that money of yours on that, please, sir. You're just not going to see anything. And I know that for a fact because not only have I taken them to the track, but looking at data on those cars, unless you've done some extensive work to the actual intake manifold, no. And even then, the only time it's going to make a difference is if the intake manifold itself is in pretty rough shape. So the short answer is no. The long answer is no. Don't waste your money on it. Not with stock tune. So I'm saying, welcome to B's Corner. Thank you. Thank you. Damien's saying long tubes. Good idea. Always a big fan. But Dara's saying I skipped over his comments. I did. Where are you up here? I said the thing about the Elon thing. If there's another one on there, it didn't post up because I am not seeing it unless it is way up here at the top. And I don't see it up there either. Repost them. I don't know. Maybe it didn't make it to the party. Somebody's out there having fun. Oh, is this it right here? I think it said it again. Oh, talking about alternate fuels. Maybe that's what it was. Then EVs wouldn't be as much of a talking point. The thing is, what's wrong with EVs? Guys, it's just another power plant. People have put this political slant on something that's just a power plant. I'm sorry. My brain doesn't work like that. I don't see it. Yeah, alternate fuels, sure. If you can find something that's as or nearly as energy dense as gasoline, go for it. Yes, I support that too. I know Porsche was working on synthetic fuels. There's a lot that that has been done and that would be done, but the economies of scale really aren't there because gasoline is very inexpensive by volume to process and distribute. So, the EV thing, it's just another power plant. I'm not a big fan of them. They don't work in my world. In other people's lives, they're a great alternative. Oh, Sovereign's checking in with Darren saying if Elon doesn't think EVs are the future, they put their eggs in more. Guys, yeah, I guess. I mean, like I say, some of the very first cars ever were EVs. So this is not new news. It's not new technology. In fact, it's an electric motor that made the internal combustion engine viable for the masses. It's called a starter motor. Speed Free says, hey, B, guys going to a Whipple on a Hellcat. Can it be just a blower swap and tune, or is there a lot more needed, such as internals? No, just put the whip on it. I wouldn't even go with a whip. You can go whip 3.0. That's the only Whipple that I would go with. The Maggie is also a really good alternative, but yeah, it's just a tune, injectors. But no, you do not need the Hellcat platforms are already really, really good. So you do not need anything else. Sorry, I'm not saying he's hearing a faint engine groan. Yeah, there was something out there. I think it was my across the street neighbor. Shane's saying, say you have a 5.7 Hemi with forged internals with a Hellcat blower conversion. What upper and lower combo would you run on it? It depends on the fuel that you're going to be messing with. You could run the stock style lower with a 285 upper, which would be entertaining to say the least. Stock size lower with a 3.0 upper would probably be pretty good on pump gas at that displacement. There's not really a big difference between a 5.7 and a 6.2. But it just depends on what you're going to be doing with it. If you're going E85, 10% lower with a 275 upper, probably that'll make about 24 pounds of boost on that combination. Madera's saying, I think I'm just now catching into this or up to this about the alternative fuels again. Yes, I agree. Keith's asking, do you think it's okay to run MS-109 fuel with nitrous? Yeah, it's not. Okay, so remember when we're talking about oxygenated fuel, MS-109 is a higher ethanol content fuel. I want to say it's 13% ethanol. So it's not a huge, like, in other words, it's not like just bubbling. It's not like soda. It's not bubbling full of oxygen. It's just it molecularly carries more oxygen, more bound oxygen that is released through heat and compression. But it's not by a ton. MS-109 with nitrous, yes, 100%. The main thing is just to make sure you're checking air fuel. Run the thing at about the same like a blower, like a 0.79 lambda. And I think you'll be okay. The stoichiometric value on MS-109, if my Swami hat is still working here, I think is 13.89. So that's why I'm saying go with lambda, because it is not on a 14.7 AFR scale because of the amount of ethanol that's in it. So get out there and do that, and you will be a happy person. MS-109 is really good to run on boosted applications too. Summer Night saying incommodate. Yes. Is it a word? Somebody's got to look that up, because if I just came up with a word, then, genius on me, right? But I don't think it's a word. It can't be a word. Somebody needs to accommodate that request. Michael saying, yes, that's a pissed off accommodate. Yes. Subsquare. Trademarking all those for you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Alex saying, how's it going, B Mason? I got the arm flex. I like it. What's up, Alex? Damien saying, Dodge is the dumb, cool jock that everybody wants when there's a party and nobody wants when it's time to take him seriously. It's very clear we're in the 80s and 90s again. Hey, listen, I would love, this is where I'm such a dumbass, okay? I would love to see Dodge drag out a 1980 style DSM hot rod. Okay. I don't care which one it is. It can be an Eclipse style DSM. It can be a Conquest, which I would kind of prefer, style DSM. Come out with like, not a DSM here, but a Daytona style car. Something cool, something quirky, something fast, something that will run with the others, but is different. I'm okay with that because Dodge kind of made a business model out of that for a while. Let's see. Oh, Sovereign saying Racer X and Demonology. That's how he found the channel. Very cool. Alex hanging out with Sovereign. Leonidas saying, thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Sovereign saying, hanging out with Alex. Sovereign saying, I think I covered it. I hope I did. Donnie saying, appreciate the Hellcat advice. There are tons of setup options, so I'm just trying to navigate and find the best. Simple setup, not looking to set records, just reliable E85 build. Yeah, man. I mean, sorry, I think went down the wrong hole. The thing with E85, like I say, man, you can tune any of the Hellcat combinations on E85 and you will pick up power. You will pick up ET. There's no question about that. How much? Well, depends. But the walking around number, if you throw enough timing at it to actually be able to take advantage of it, in other words, get to MBT, the maximum brake torque number when it comes to timing, which is just a fart sniffing way to say the most timing that you really honestly can run at a load level at an RPM number, right? E85 will help you get to that number, but that number is that MBT number, the actual torque number, what horsepower is derived from, is going to be significantly higher at that particular timing number if you have the boost to go along with it. It'll be lower if you don't. And NA, that's why NAs don't necessarily respond very well to E85 unless you've got really high compression ratios. And when I say 13 to 14, that's like the lowest number I would recommend a build for, naturally aspirated for 85. But I guess the point that I'm getting to is a stock setup, how much would you get? A couple of tenths, maybe. It might be worth a couple of tenths. I only say that because I've run 10 O's on 93 octane. If I had tuned my car for E85, it'd probably run a 980 something, which nobody would be all that impressed with because it's on E85. There's a lot that goes into the 85 injectors, the pump, the tuning, and everything else. If you go with like a 10% lower in a stock upper, or what I would prefer to see is like a stock lower that's pinned with maybe a 285 or 275 upper, probably pick up 3/10 over that with gas. But that's about as aggressive as I would go with the gas setup. So to compare E85 with a gas setup, you're limiting the E85 number. And then from there, 10% lower 275 is a mid 9-second car, like practically on accident. Sovereign saying, I don't think it's a word. I don't know, but is it? I mean, incommodate. I mean, it sounds good, right? Like if you drop an incommodate on somebody, you're going to know, like, is that okay? To accommodate would be to allow. To incommodate, would that be to disallow? That'd be a really hard one to get into a conversation. I incommodate that request. I guess that would be to not do it. I don't know. I don't have all my English skills wrapped up. Let's see. Diane saying, thank you, Alex. I would say I would like to have seen a modern iteration of Dodge Stealth. That would be really cool. I always liked the Stealth. VR4. There's one running around down here. It's a white one. I would understand. I'm talking about the environmental impact of EVs over internal combustion. EVs are 10 times worse out of the gate. I'm not sure zero emissions over time. Well, it's been proven. So EVs are not 10 times worse, but they are worse in terms of their environmental impact. They're also worse on the back end. So you're talking about out of the gate is one area, but I think you're missing out on what's really going to be the twitchy part of this, which is the process of recycling the batteries, the process of recycling a battery or an EV car rather versus an internal combustion car. And that's what I was talking about one of the last shows, is that, when you're talking about these cars, just talk about the facts. Yes, there are benefits to an EV. There's a lot of benefits to an EV for folks that benefit carries an economic weight. In other words, if you live in the city, you got a place to charge your car, you don't drive much, whatever. But the fact of the matter is that, there's a lot that has to go into the car to make it a car. There's more that goes into the batteries, a lot of really caustic chemicals to make these batteries. Plus, one of the more twitchy elements out there with lithium, which has a nasty habit of reacting with, water. When lithium reacts with water, you have, lithium dioxide is created and it injects hydrogen. The hydrogen gas will, because of the because of what is basically known as a vigorous exothermic reaction that creates the lithium. I think it's lithium dioxide and hydrogen H2 out of that splitting. Or rather, I should say, the pairing of the water in the lithium, the H2O and the Li molecule. I've got to remember my chemistry here. Anyway, during this vigorous exothermic reaction, which means basically the thing gets hot, ignites the hydrogen, which creates a secondary. So primary ignition source creates the following secondary, very vigorous oxygenation of hydrogen, which is the product which makes water, H2O, and releases a shitload of heat in the form of a vigorous exothermic reaction, which causes things to explode and catch on fire. That's where the problem with the EVs comes into play, because you can't just put out an EV fire, not with water anyway, because the lithium in the batteries, once it's exposed, and it will be exposed, starts to react with the water. The whole thing basically has to burn to the ground. And the problem is there's a lot of chemicals that go bad. So yeah, that's where the EV problem is a bit of a problem, but there are ways around all of this, and there are ways to engineer more safety and easier repurposing of batteries and things like that. So, it just, it is what it is. I was saying EVs are like smoking cigarettes to cut back on drinking soda. All right. Superior's asking, I hope this makes sense, but what's the most upper and lower with 93 pump? Great question. I used to get this question. This is probably the number 2 question that I would get, is what's the most pulley you can run on 93 octane pump gasoline? It depends on where you live. It depends on your elevation. If you live above 1,000 foot physical elevation from sea level, then I would say that a 285 pulley would be safe there on only gasoline with no fuel additives or anything else like that. If you live at anything less than 1,000 feet, I would say that a 295 upper with a stock lower is about as aggressive as I would go. Now, I also recognize, and understand that a 285 will work just fine at sea level. And I know this because a close friend of mine is a 285 upper car. Thing is that you've got to remember that if you live at low altitude, when the DA drops, and it will absolutely drop into these just crazy density altitudes, -3, 4, 5, 8,000 feet, -1,200 feet, that's when that 285 becomes a little bit less viable as a safe solution to adding boost to the car on 93 octane. So I would say a 295 in lower altitudes, 285 in higher altitudes. Sovereign's hanging out with Alex. Let's see. Incommodate, disallow. Did it really come up? Was I right? Is it a disallowance? Nice. Madera's saying a lot of people don't want to work on EVs. There's a lot that don't, but there's a lot that do. Battery replacement. Yeah, that's becoming a real thing. So we're saying never drop a chunk of lithium in water. Boom. Yeah, pretty much any of those metals will pop like that. See, Madera's hanging out with Sovereign. Oh, Alex saying, I like B. Mason's old comment about EVs are like a car that has a slowly shrinking gas tank. It really is. It's weird too, because some of those cars are worse than others. And again, it goes back to my thing about EVs is that I've always been a big fan of EVs because I know what I could do with an EV to make it faster. I know what I could do to make it do a lot of neat things. I mean, as somebody that is only looking at it as a power plant, neato. Okay, look, I got something new to play with. It's just a new toy. But there are drawbacks. And one of the weird drawbacks is that the batteries over time lose capacity. Now, the battery losing capacity is not, this is not a single concern, because when you lose milliamp hours, or in this case, amp hours, you also lose the capability to discharge that power. So the loss of the milliamp hours, not only does that mean you can't go as far, it also means that you cannot produce as much energy. So that becomes a bit of a problem. It's like a double-edged sword. It's like a candle burning at both ends. And at some point, it renders itself a non-serviceable entity. That's when it has to go through a reclamation process and have, oh yeah, by the way, quick 30 is tomorrow. So I snuck out early to get my data logging done. But guys, H-Town, brothers and sisters, if y'all are out playing, you've probably got maybe another 30 or 40 minutes before the swarms hit. So just know that. Anyway, getting back to it, it's weird because there's still so much development that has to take place with this battery stuff. And you've got to have so much battery to make it work. That's the other weird thing, is just how much mass you have to have, like literal physical mass that you have to have of battery just to get the thing to work right. So there's a lot that can go into it, but there's a lot of upside to it too. Madera's saying EV versus a 10-year-old Merc. I'll tell you what, if it's a turbo diesel, it'll probably be around 10 years after the Earth gets swallowed up by the sun. Superior Fit's asking, what were Racer X's mod? Was he 1K wheel or crank? Crank. Actually, it was a 815 to the wheels. And it was super simple combination. I mean, nothing to it. Starting at the back of the car, had a 309 rear diff, DSS drive shaft, stock converter, stock HP 90, stock manifolds. I think it was a cat delete car. It was a cat delete car. That had stock manifolds. I passed up the inject engineering, dual pumps, fuel injector connection, 127 injectors, 275 upper, 10% lower, stock throttle body running through a stock airbox. And it made 815. It made 815 to the wheel with a 309 gear. Fernando's car, which was his car's clone, but in a Challenger, it had long tubes on it, 1 7/8 inch long tubes, no cats with a 262 gear. And I think his made 830, but that's kind of a rounding up thing because of how the dyno reads a 262 gear versus a 309. But yeah, I mean, his legit, I mean, it was a legit mid 9 seconds. I think the quickest that car ever went was a 940, as a matter of fact. Let's see. So I was like, no, it's not a word. Damn it. Somebody trademarked that quickly. Sovereign, I think he was talking about the Hellcat, the not the Mustang. Superior Fits. Superior Fits comment got flagged. Can't show it, dude. I can see it, but I can't show it. Sovereign saying the electrolyte is the main issue. That's the gross part of it. Yeah. Anthony Easy is saying local car shows here. In New York, nobody is into the new Dodge. Oh yeah, Tim, the CEO, explaining about it. It seems so fake, and bought on how he spoke about it. So here's the thing with that. He had mentioned, God, what was the name? I wrote it down. Anyway, I mentioned that interview, if you even want to call it that. He was with a panel of the guys, and anyway, it was. I put this. It was sad. It hurt to watch, honestly. Tim was explaining, all the backlash that they had received, and he gets it. And again, I just go back to going, Tim, are you in a bunker? Blink twice if you're okay. He's talking about how they didn't want to do this EV switch, and that they basically were going to have to 86 the brand if they wanted to do anything else. Basically, the parent company is the one that's driving this, and it's a sad narrative from a business perspective. I'm not even looking at this from I'm looking at this as a dollars and cents proposition. It doesn't make good sense to go this way unless you're betting on a failure. And if a business is banking on a failure, that means they're banking on some type of a federal bailout. Just saying. Seems a little bit weird to me, but that's the only way that I could ever explain that away, because it's a bad business decision. It's as bad of a business decision as you could probably possibly have. Superior Fit saying, and ATI 10%. Yeah, 10% lower, 275 upper is what Excessive had. Spirit saying, so I'm 850 wheel now with 1300 cat delete, stock red eye, cold air 180, stat, and E85. Yeah, no, you're really close to that power level. So that's excessive on a Mustang dyno, excessive on a dyno jet. Man, don't get me to lying. I never saw. I think he put it on a dyno jet and it made 900 or something like that. It was something close to it, like 890, 880, something like that. It just kind of dyno jets can be kind of all over the place. Oh, Sovereign saying, ever seen a puffy LiPo or cell phone battery? That's the electrolyte that evaporated in the cell, turning into a gas. It's yeah. What can happen is they get past the membrane. If you puncture it, the electrolyte can spread past the membrane. It goes into an uncontrolled. It basically is it's a uncontrolled reaction with the lithium. Basically, it's an uncontrolled reaction with the. Oh hell! All my words are leaving my head right now. Anyway, it's bad, and it puffs up, and it can pop, and that's all she wrote. Someone's like, oh, excessive. But they're saying EVs are fast, yes, but once that novelty wears off, what can they do that ICE cars can't? Actually, they can do quite a bit that internal combustion cars can't. One of the things that they can do is, depending on your range needs, they basically turn you into your own fuel refinery. I mean, you plug the thing in at home because, again, you have to own a house. The house has to be wired for 440 at least, not 220. You hear the little AC running over here. That's actually 220. You got to have 440 to charge the thing properly. But you have to be a homeowner, have a place where you can charge it in your home safely, have a house that's wired, properly to where you can have the charger there. But assuming all of that, which is expensive, and assuming that the car carries your mileage needs per day, it's extremely convenient. So you just unplug it when you get home, drive the thing around like a normal car. When you get home, presumably you just plug the thing in, right? You don't have to go to the gas station. And again, it's a convenience thing. If it fits into your mileage needs, then it works out great. I don't know that I would ever own an EV. Range anxiety aside, I don't like the idea of what has to go into if you're talking about recycling a battery, repurposing a battery, whatever re-up you need to do with a battery, I just think that there's more energy that the problem is right now, my understanding is that the repurposing, recycling of the battery, repurposing is cool with the battery, but it requires a new battery if you repurpose that battery, right? The recycling portion of that battery is a different story. And I think it takes more energy to recycle the battery than it does to make a new battery, which is the same with a lot of recycling, by the way, but that's a story for another time. And that's one of the issues that I would maybe have from an environmental standpoint with the EV. There's just the EV, for you guys that are, know a little bit about like literature and literary terms, you've heard me say this before. The EV, the media has had you believe that it's a Mary Sue character. And what a Mary Sue character is it's a character that can do no wrong. Okay. It's a character that always gets it right. It's a character that has no real story arc. It just starts out, everybody loves this character. It is great just because it exists. Okay. And there's no struggle. There's no learning curve. It's just this character just gets it right every time. Think Rey from Star Wars, classic Mary Sue type character. Fits the narrative almost to a T. That's the kind of idea. So, but if you know the downside, it makes it real. And right now, people just don't treat it like a real thing. It's like it's a video game instead. Anyway, enough about the EVs. I can go on and on. I've done shows on the EVs. I can tell you that there's a lot of upside to them. There's a lot of downside to them. And if it fits your world, then it fits your world from a convenience standpoint, from an acceleration standpoint, from excitement. If you like things that go really fast in a straight line, they're neat like that. But that gets old, or at least it wears off. The novelty wears off fairly quickly. And you're exactly right. What do you have after that? It's just a car. Instead of putting a gas pump in it, you put a plug into it, and you spend about $15 to fill it up every night. Most of them, I think, are $30 or something like that to fill up from start to finish. So that's the other side of this. Like, people with EVs, filling her up ain't free, bro. I mean, you're still spending less money maybe on fuel. But if you burn through half of your range, and you burn through half of the range on an internal combustion engine might cost $50 to fill up or to replenish the tank, so to speak. You got a truck or something like that. Well, the EV is going to take $15 to $20. It's less money, but it's still money. It's still not free. It ain't like you know, some hand of God just comes by and zaps your car, and it ain't Mario Kart. Anyway, just there's so many goofy things with those cars. Goofy people surrounding it. Spirit saying, I thought it would get flagged because they run all the social networks. Yeah, it got snagged. I was saying, hey, I know talking about direct connection stage kits is like beating a dead horse, but if we're up to you, moi, what would you do to make the scat packs faster? It'd be transmission tuning more than anything, shift points. But what I would primarily do from hard parts is just offer a 331 rear gear set with a little bit of tuning to go along with it. If I were the guy running the show over there, that is exactly what I would do. You make it available. I mean, just, it's a ZF rear gear set. There's, nothing to it. Just make a 331 rear gear set to make the cars more lively. You don't have to add any more power for that. And you don't have to get an EO, which is the executive order for emissions. It's a freaking rear end. Just put it in the freaking car and freaking like it. Freaking drive it. You freaking. Anyway, that's what I would do. That'd be the first thing that I would do, because that's the one thing that I was begging for. God, I don't care. I don't need a cam. I don't need a converter. I don't need any of this other in the background. Just put the right gear ratio back there and call it good. Some are saying like, subscribe, share. Some are saying I miss excessive. Wonder how that car is doing right now. Not well. There's some drama. Spirit Fed saying, yeah, I got an 850 on a dyno jet. So if I added my 275, I'm looking at 950. My buddy got 940 with his standard cat. Probably so. Probably somewhere around in there. Right around in there. Yeah. About 100 horsepower. Jamie's saying, think about this for 1 second. Dodge cars have been a very hot ticket for thieves, and how much Dodge and dealers have lost over the last 5 years. EPA makes it just that more justifying to get rid of them. Maybe. I mean, it's like I say, there's a lot to take in with all of that. So, the EV thing, I don't know. They came out with all the patches for all the theft thing. And I mean, listen, if you want to steal something bad enough, you can always rip something off. But it's just a headache. The other part of this too is Dodge never had a small car, and Dodge would not be in this position if they could have made a small car that would last. Take a page out of Hyundai's book, take a page out of Kia's book. I mean, listen, say what you want about those two car manufacturers. Overseas, they are beloved. Greatest customer service, highest customer satisfaction. is because they build a small car that just runs forever. They're the new Honda, the new Toyota. I hate to say it, that's the way it is. And man, I mean, if they could have just made a small car like the Dart without all the problems that the Dart had with, you know, and what is it with, this drives me nuts about Dodge. What is it about Dodge cars, 6 cylinders and 4 cylinders, some of them that aren't SRT 4s? What is the deal with them smoking all the time? You see these things going down the road and it's just bad, man. It looks like trying to kill every skeeter in the county. And it's like, anyway, I see this more with Dodge than any other manufacturer. And it's their small engines that always seem to be failure points. And so I don't know. It just kind of sucks. Anyway, getting back to you guys. But they need to have a small car to have a high CAFE number, which is the corporate average fuel economy number. You got to have a small car to have a high CAFE number so you can make hot rods. Well, first of all, they didn't have a small car. And even if they did, or when they did, they didn't market it right, or it had such poor reliability, it didn't sell. This is all a recipe for disaster. You know, you got to have the rest of the crew together. You can't just roll out the Challenger and Charger. You've got to have those small cars to keep everything afloat, to keep it moving along, you know, just to keep making things. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, Damien talking about, how to sneak into Dodges is kind of easy. Yeah, that was kind of a weird deal. I know mine went through the pad. They had an over-the-air patch that you had to do for them. Summer saying EV is getting charged off fossil fuels. Yeah, pretty much. Summer's liking the Saturday night chats. Danny's saying, yeah, the cost of EV electrical power. I'll put it to you like this. It isn't free. It's less than, but it ain't free. Anthony, I love it, saying with all of this going on, we still have a ton of Panther platform cars running around as daily beaters. Long live the 4.6, the Mercuries, the P71 version, I guess you could call it, of the Mercs, which had the dual exhaust, the snowflake wheels and all that. She used those as work cars for forever until she started getting into the 300Cs. As we were saying, I understand. Oh, yeah. Madeira's talking about putting the 6.4 in the truck. Yeah, I still don't know why they didn't do that. I don't get it. I mean, listen, I love my 5.7 in my truck, and it flat out scoots. I mean, y'all saw it when a 1395 full weight, even went and put gas in the thing to cover that 1395. So the big girl will scoot. I mean, I'm pretty sure she'd be a 12-second truck with that, or not, maybe not a 12, but a low 13-second truck with that 6.4. Don't know why they don't put it in the truck. It's just the dumbest thing. I cannot understand. I'll put it to you like this. A 6.4 in a DT Ram, I am a player at that. I mean, like that. Done deal. Or I would have been if I didn't have Stormy. I mean, Stormy, here's the funny thing about Stormy. Stormy, for me, every time I drive Stormy, I like it more. There's something about that truck. I don't know what it is. It's fast. It sounds good. It does everything really freaking well. I just really like that truck. Oh, Alex saying, I don't think they put for the 6.4 they're talking about though, bro, they're talking about the SRT version of the 6.4, not the truck version. Some pretty significant differences between the truck 6.4 and the SRT. Camshaft, actually the truck intake manifold, if you could use the truck intake manifold in a 6.4 would be the shit. The truck 6.4 manifold is really, really good. I mean, it's the best flowing manifold that is on any of the Gen 3 Hemis. Without a doubt. And guys, listen, with that, I've got to wrap it up. We are over 2 hours. Man, this one went fast. Big shout out to Superior Fit. Really appreciate it. Chuck, as always, man, definitely appreciate you. No Average RT, my friend. Thank you so much for the contributions. Superior Fit, just getting after it, man. Frederick, thank you very much, my man. Appreciate all you guys. The support means a ton to me. Keeps the channel going for sure. Guys, with that, I got to wrap it up. Don't forget, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. If you're going to say it, don't bend it. Keep your shiny side up. And guys, we will catch y'all on the next one. Hopefully get you guys some more video. The track shut down. Can't really do anything there. Validated, I think, the tune for the Hellcat. So I think she's good. At least the data look good. So between now and then, we're just going to be chatting about whatever Dodge cast coming up. We'll find out what Ford's going to do with that Mustang. That new GT500 is supposed to be released at some point, so stay tuned for that. But unless anything else comes up, we're just going to be doing open chats probably for the rest of the year until Dodge does something we're talking about. So anyway, with that, guys, peace out. Love each and every one of you guys. Y'all have a great one.